The F-22 Raptor was engineered to be a Spectre, a fifth-generation marvel with thrust vectoring, supercruise, and radar-absorbing skin, an almost alien machine built to dominate the skies for the next 4 decades. The Dassault Rafale, a fourth-generation workhorse from the 80s. Lighter, older, conventional. No stealth coating, no physics-defying engines. On paper, it was a mismatch. But dogfights aren't fought on paper. Over the scorching sands of the UAE, the two jets clashed at blistering speed. And when the cockpit footage finally leaked, the Pentagon went silent. In the late 1970s, as Cold War tensions simmered and the cost of advanced fighter programs escalated, 5 European powers, France, Germany, the UK, Italy, and Spain, joined forces under the banner of the Future European Fighter Aircraft Project. They aimed to build a next-generation air superiority fighter that could challenge Soviet designs and rival anything flying under American markings. The alliance frayed almost from the start. The 5 partner nations discovered that they shared a common geography, but little else in terms of defense philosophy. Each country came in with its own way of doing things, different military goals, defense industries, and strategic priorities. It quickly became clear that trying to build a jet that pleased everyone wasn't going to cut it. Britain, with an eye toward defending airspace over the North Sea and beyond, pushed for a long-range interceptor optimized for speed, altitude, and radar capabilities. They wanted something closer to an F-15, built to launch from well-equipped bases and bring down bombers before they reached NATO territory. Germany, operating under NATO's Central European Doctrine, needed a shorter-range twin-seat multi-role aircraft that could double as a ground attack platform and establish a tactical battlefield presence. Their emphasis was on integration with existing NATO assets, having American weapons systems in mind. Spain and Italy, holding less political power in the group, were only concerned with keeping costs under control. They needed a fighter that could handle both home defense and NATO duties without bankrupting their defense budgets. France, meanwhile, sought a truly multi-role platform, fast, agile, and independent of NATO supply chains. One of their major requirements was that the fighter would be capable of flying from both land bases and the deck of the Charles de Gaulle. That meant structural specifications and flight control systems, which the other partners neither needed nor wanted. The result was a political and engineering deadlock. Arguments broke out over just about everything: engines, radar setups, cockpit design, weapons, even how to handle maintenance. By 1985, after years of dragging things out and constant disagreements, there seemed to be no consensus in sight. Rather than settle for a diluted platform shaped by committee, Paris walked away from the project entirely. Dassault Aviation, the country's leading aircraft manufacturer, was tasked with going it alone. Back in 1978, long before France joined the pan-European fighter effort, Dassault had already received government support to explore next-gen designs under the initiative Act 92, Avion de Combat Tactique. The goal was to create a new generation tactical combat jet tailored to French needs. Dassault engineers were specifically focused on achieving speed, agility, and survivability. By 1980, under the internal codename Rapace, Bird of Prey, the French began narrowing down the airframe layouts. In 1983, with no guarantee of future production, the French government greenlit a lone technology demonstrator. It was intended to be a flying proof of concept developed jointly by industry and the state. Initially sized to please European partners, the demonstrator hovered around 9.5 tons. However, when France withdrew from the collaborative fighter effort, the design was sharpened and trimmed to French specifications. It also received a new name, Rafale, which is French for squall, although it was later translated as burst of fire to align better with a more military sense. Construction began the following year. The Rafale A was built with the purpose of pushing the limits, gathering data, and exposing any flaws long before committing to full-scale production. It measured 15.8 meters in length, with an 11-meter wingspan and an empty weight of 21,000 pounds. To save time, Dassault initially outfitted it with 2 American F-404 engines, the same type used in the FA-18 Hornet, while the planned Snecma M88 turbofans, which were supposed to power the fighter, were still in development. On July 4, 1986, the Rafale A roared off the runway at Istres, lifting into the southern sky with test pilot Guy Mito-Marouard at the stick. Within the hour, it was cruising at Mach 1.3 and 36,000 feet. A month later, it was performing publicly at Farnborough, the first of 867 sorties that would follow. Dassault's prototype demonstrated its versatility by simulating carrier landings on Clemenceau and Foch, as well as seamlessly switching between naval and Air Force roles. One of the F-404s was finally swapped for the Snecma M88 in 1990, assuring that the jet could achieve Mach 1.4 without afterburners. Despite the sky-high costs, 120 billion francs, France refused to surrender its sovereignty. As Prime Minister Michel Rocard said, quote, "It's inconceivable that we should not be able to build the weapons necessary for our independence." Proving the design worked was only the beginning. The Rafale was conceived to replace 7 legacy aircraft across the French military. As the late 1980s rolled over, France operated 7 different combat aircraft across its Air Force and Navy. The Mirage 3, Mirage 5, Mirage F1, Jaguar A, Super Étendard, Mirage 2000C, and the Mirage 2000 ND for nuclear delivery. Each fulfilled a specialized role: interception, ground attack, reconnaissance, carrier operations, or strategic deterrence. Dassault's new jet would need to do all of them. That meant dogfighting at altitude one sortie and delivering a precision nuclear strike the next. It had to land on a carrier deck in foul weather, loiter on patrol with external tanks and a recon pod, and conduct high-speed terrain-hugging strikes through radar-infested airspace. Dassault's answer was a clean-sheet design centered around the Delta canard layout. The forward canards induce intentional pitch instability, which enhances maneuverability but requires constant correction. That's where the Rafale's quad-redundant digital fly-by-wire system comes in, precisely managing airflow and control surfaces to give the pilot extreme authority. In emergencies, Rafale pilots can pull over 9 Gs, while the airframe's high angle of attack control enables post-stall maneuvering and ultra-tight turn rates. At the other extreme, the aircraft can safely fly at stall speeds around 17 miles per hour, a trait demonstrated during slow-speed display routines and carrier approaches. That aerodynamic finesse is paired with a high-tech airframe, roughly 70% composite by weight. The material mix reduces radar cross-section, improves structural longevity, and provides a distinct advantage in corrosion resistance during carrier operations. Each of its engines produces approximately 17,000 pounds of thrust with afterburner, enabling the Rafale to exceed initial expectations and reach Mach 1.8 in its clean configuration. Rafales are capable of supersonic flight in level cruise, with a drastically lower infrared signature and fuel burn compared to older fighters like the Mirage 2000 or even early F-15s. That same blend of efficiency and power would prove just as valuable at sea. The Rafale M is the carrier-ready version of the Rafale, built to handle the rough conditions of life at sea. It shares most of its design and systems with the land-based models, but has several key upgrades that set it apart. Its frame is reinforced to survive the violent shocks of landing on a moving deck, and it comes with tougher landing gear and a tailhook to catch the arresting wires every time it touches down. Additionally, the Rafale M features a more robust nose landing gear that interfaces precisely with steam catapult launch systems, enabling rapid, powerful launches from the deck. That model stands out as the only European fighter fully cleared for carrier duty. It can fly up to 50,000 feet and hit targets over 1,800 kilometers away when launched from a carrier deck. To handle the brutal wear and tear of sea operations, it's built out of special materials to fight off corrosion from the salty air. On both the Air Force and Navy versions, the fighter's external payload capacity tops 20,900 pounds, with 14 hardpoints supporting mixed weapon loads. The first Rafale Ms were delivered to the French naval aviation in December 2000, marking the beginning of France's carrier-capable omni-role fleet. Initial operating capability followed in 2004, with the French Air Force's B and C models entering service in 2006. By 2008, Rafales were regularly conducting nuclear alert patrols, carrier missions, and combat sorties in theaters like Afghanistan, all from a unified fleet. In June 2010, the Rafale crossed a symbolic frontier 90 feet above the Atlantic. As part of a rare Franco-American naval exercise, the French Navy Rafale touched down aboard USS Harry S. Truman. When the jet suffered an engine issue, U.S. Navy and French crews swapped out the Rafale's M88 turbofan at sea, in the cramped guts of a moving American warship. It was the first time a non-U.S. aircraft had undergone a full engine change aboard a U.S. carrier. That kind of adaptability wasn't limited to maintenance. In modern air combat, dominance belongs to those who can see without being seen. With this in mind, at the center of the Rafale's long-range engagement capability is the RBE-2AA, an active electronically scanned array radar developed by Thales. Unlike older mechanically scanned systems, the RBE-2 utilizes hundreds of stationary transmit-receive modules to electronically steer radar beams. This allows it to scan wide sectors, track up to 40 airborne targets simultaneously, prioritize threats, and guide multiple missiles in flight, all while remaining resistant to jamming and agile under electronic attack. Its beam agility allows it to interleave modes, conducting air-to-air, air-to-ground, and terrain mapping operations in a single sweep. That kind of multitasking came in handy during high-pressure missions, such as NATO's Baltic air policing missions or France's operations over Syria. Rafales could identify enemy aircraft, designate ground targets, and detect SAM threats without switching modes or exposing themselves. Mounted forward of the cockpit is OSF, short for Optronique Secteur Frontale. This passive sensor suite includes an infrared search and track system, as well as a high-resolution visual camera capable of identifying aircraft out to 40 kilometers without emitting any detectable signals. In WVR combat, this allows the Rafale to operate in full emissions control, stalking adversaries who don't know they're being watched. For aircraft like the F-22 or F-35, the goal of stealth is to remain undetected and strike without warning. Instead of hiding, the Rafale detects and disrupts. At the heart of this doctrine is Spectre, an internal electronic warfare suite, and arguably one of the most sophisticated defensive systems ever flown in a fighter. From the very moment the engines light up, Spectre is already detecting radar emissions, tracking infrared threats, scanning for laser designation, and readying countermeasures. Its three primary sensors, strategically embedded across the airframe, triangulate incoming threats using interferometry, allowing the system to pinpoint the origin of radar waves. That means the pilot doesn't just know he's being painted, he knows by who, from where, and with what type of radar. These capabilities were put to the test during Operation Shamal, France's contribution to the coalition campaign against ISIS in Iraq and Syria, beginning in 2014. Flying from Jordan, the UAE, and Charles de Gaulle, Rafales were tasked with striking targets deep inside hostile territory. By 2015, the skies over Syria had become some of the most congested and electronically hostile in the world. The arrival of Russian aerospace forces brought S-300 and S-400 air defense systems to Latakia, blanketing the region with long-range radar and missile coverage. Even a brief radar lock could be fatal. Long before crossing into contested airspace, Spectre had already mapped the electromagnetic environment, cataloging emitters, scanning for threats, and building a live threat picture. Once airborne, it constantly monitored radar, infrared, and laser emissions, watching for missile plumes, targeting pods, or even the tight beams of guided bombs. Whenever a threat appeared, Spectre responded automatically. Directional jamming, targeted noise, chaff, and flare releases timed to the millisecond. Against more advanced systems, it could deploy an active towed decoy, luring missiles away like digital bait. During Indo-French joint air exercises, Rafales demonstrated the ability to spot stealth-optimized fighters like the Su-57 and F-35 via their infrared signatures, leveraging OSF in tandem with Spectre's threat tracking to paint a complete 3D picture. All of it happened autonomously, feeding a real-time map into the pilot's display that layered radar tracks, IR signatures, and incoming locks. The Rafale first saw combat in 2002. Just a year after entering service, it was sent to Afghanistan to back up French and coalition troops during Operation Enduring Freedom. Flying from forward bases in the United Arab Emirates, the Rafale joined a multinational air campaign against Taliban and Al-Qaeda strongholds scattered across the mountains and deserts. Equipped with its early-generation Damocles targeting pod and armed with GBU-12 laser-guided bombs, the Rafale was tasked with a mix of reconnaissance and precision strike missions. From high above the rugged landscape, its pilots scanned for signs of hostile activity in the shape of suspicious heat signatures, vehicle movement, or muzzle flashes near known insurgent routes. Thanks to its multi-role design, the Rafale could shift between surveillance and strike mid-mission. It could receive new coordinates while airborne, cross-cueing sensors and delivering bombs within minutes. Crosswinds tore through narrow valleys, dust storms hammered the airfields, and the high-altitude terrain turned every fight into a challenge for both pilot and machine. The Rafale took it all in stride, showing sharp reflexes and steady control. Enemy tactics were scattered and unpredictable, keeping crews on edge. Spectre, still a work in progress, gave pilots an early glimpse of its potential, quietly scanning for radar signals, alerting to targeting threats, and helping with evasive moves when things got tense. Surface-to-air threats in Afghanistan were few and far between, but when they did appear, the Rafale was already listening. The first F-2 standard Rafale Bs had entered service in 2005, and within 2 years, several were upgraded with laser-guided bomb capability and prepped for combat in Afghanistan. 3 Air Force jets deployed to Dushan, Tajikistan, while 3 naval Rafales joined the Charles de Gaulle, putting France's newest multi-role fighter squarely in the middle of coalition operations. It dropped a GBU-12 on insurgents threatening Dutch forces in southern Afghanistan. From forward bases like Kandahar, Rafale crews flew into mountains and dust storms, pivoting between recon runs and close air support. With advanced sensors and targeting pods, they hunted fast-moving threats hiding in the rocks. Between 2009 and 2011, Rafales became a familiar silhouette over Kandahar. Hundreds of sorties blended surveillance with pinpoint strikes, backing up troops on the ground with real-time intel and precision firepower. During Operation Unified Protector over Libya in 2011, the Rafale was pushed into full-spectrum warfare. Taking off from Charles de Gaulle and coastal bases in Corsica and Sicily, Rafales roared over Tripoli and Sirte in coordinated SEAD and deep strike waves. They targeted hardened command centers and long-range SAM sites. Armed with Scalp cruise missiles and backed by real-time intelligence, they punched holes in Gaddafi's air defenses, sometimes hitting targets from 250 miles away. Once enemy radars went dark, Rafales led the charge, enforcing NATO's no-fly zone, engaging hostile aircraft, and clearing corridors for other strike packages. Then came Mali. Operation Serval in 2013. Radical Islamist factions had swept down from the desert, capturing cities and threatening to seize the capital. France responded within hours. Rafales launched from Saint-Désir in eastern France, refueled mid-air over the Mediterranean and again near Mauritania, before diving into a battlefield 4,000 kilometers away. French special forces on the ground fed real-time coordinates to incoming Rafales. In the dust-blown expanse of the Adrar de Foga Mountains, the jets unleashed laser-guided bombs with chilling precision on truck convoys, fortified camps, and weapon caches buried under tarps and tents. In one wave, Rafales obliterated a command post near Gao, believed to house senior jihadist leaders. In another, they cracked open a canyon hideout that had eluded drones for weeks. For years, the U.S. bragged about having the most advanced fighter jets on the planet. At the top of the list was the F-22 Raptor, stealthy, fast, packed with cutting-edge tech, and considered nearly unbeatable in the skies. Meanwhile, French fighters often got overlooked, dismissed as second tier next to the American giants. They were known to be reliable, but they lacked the technological edge that defines American air superiority. That perception was put to the test during a 2009 multinational training exercise over the skies of Al Dhafra Air Base in the United Arab Emirates. The idea behind it was to provide a ground for NATO's premier air forces to test the limits of their fighters in close-quarters combat. Even if the stakes weren't political in nature, professional pride was very much on the line. That's why the United States took the opportunity to showcase its F-22 Raptor. For their part, the French sent their newest frontline fighter, the Dassault Rafale. The British contributed the Eurofighter Typhoons. The sky was crowded that November. All 3 jet types weaved through complex dogfighting scenarios. As expected, these DACT exercises were scripted to play to the F-22's strengths. Beyond visual range was the Raptor's domain, and engagement had gone as expected. The F-22s dominated early rounds, racking up simulated victories against their opponents. However, right at the heart of the exercise, one engagement managed to shift all perceptions. The Raptor banked left, wings slicing through the desert air at 20,000 feet. Its pilot scanned the horizon, his visor down, and the sensors sweeping. He caught a blur of gray darting underneath. Below, a Rafale broke low and fast, staying beneath radar coverage, maneuvering aggressively. The American pilot dropped in to follow, engines pushing the jet into pursuit. The desert light shimmered across both airframes as they climbed, banked, and twisted through a tight turning fight. The Rafale pitched sharply and pulled into a high-angle ascent. Its delta wings and canards held the nose steady as it climbed, bleeding speed, but not control. The Raptor matched it, closing the gap, pushing hard. the Raptor surged ahead just slightly. And in that sliver of time, the Rafale maneuvered behind the F-22. In post-mission review, the data confirmed that under the exercise's rules of engagement, the Rafale had scored a victory against the Raptor. When word got out that a French Rafale had the upper hand when pitted against an F-22 Raptor, the U.S. Air Force was quick to brush it off. Officials stressed that the Raptors remained undefeated, pointing to plenty of simulated wins as proof they were still on top. In retaliation, France decided to drop a bombshell in mid-2010. Cockpit footage captured from a Rafale's forward-facing camera. Taken from its heads-up display, the grainy feed showed the F-22 locked squarely in the crosshairs during a within visual range dogfight. The French pilot maintained the jet within the targeting funnel. At one point, the pilot pulled 9 Gs, an intense load that can cause even seasoned aviators to black out. In the video, the strain in his voice makes it clear he's pushing his body to the limit just to stay conscious. Had the guns been live, the Raptor would have been shredded. The footage quickly circulated within defense and aviation circles, undercutting U.S. denials. A fourth-generation Rafale, older, and by some reckoning less sophisticated, had managed to hold its own against the world's most advanced fighter. The world's most expensive fighter jet, a $250 million stealth powerhouse, long considered invincible, was caught in another aircraft's sights. On a different ground, the Dassault Rafale was facing off against a different icon. Both the Rafale and the Eurofighter Typhoon share an origin, both emerging from the ashes of a once unified European fighter project. After France withdrew from the program in the early 1980s, the remaining partner nations continued the effort. This led to the development of the Typhoon, a platform designed primarily for air superiority and interception roles. On paper, the Typhoon pulls ahead when it comes to raw speed and engine power. Both jets share twin engines and a Delta Canard design built for maneuverability, but the Typhoon's higher thrust-to-weight ratio and top speed above Mach 2 give it an edge in fast interceptions and dogfights. The Rafale, on the other hand, sacrifices a bit of speed to offer solid, well-rounded performance across a wider range of missions and conditions. While the Rafale integrates the Spectre electronic warfare suite, widely regarded as the most advanced defensive system, the Typhoon uses the Captor radar. Originally equipped with the Captor M, which used mechanical scanning to detect and track targets, it did the job well enough. Everything changed with the introduction of the Captor E, a modern active electronically scanned array radar. Instead of moving parts, it uses electronic beams that can scan huge areas of the sky in a flash. It can track several targets at once and easily switch between air-to-air and air-to-ground modes, making the Typhoon much more capable. The Typhoon is one of NATO's main lines of defense in European airspace. Countries like the UK, Germany, Italy, and Spain count on it for quick reaction alert missions, where pilots have to scramble at a moment's notice to intercept unknown or potentially hostile aircraft. One clear example is the Baltic Air Policing mission, where Typhoons regularly patrol the skies near Russia's borders. The Typhoon can launch fast, climb quickly, and intercept threats before they get too close. That speed, paired with its advanced sensors and weapons, makes it a key piece in keeping Europe's skies secure and reacting to whatever shows up on the radar. However, while the Typhoon excels as an air superiority specialist, the Rafale's unmatched versatility shines brighter in today's complex battle spaces. Its ability to excel in air, ground, sea, and even nuclear missions across all weather and conditions puts it a step ahead over the Typhoon. In truth, the Rafale's influence extends far beyond the battlefield. It also reshaped international arms deals. One of the biggest turning points came in 2016, when India wrapped up its long-running medium multi-role combat aircraft competition. After years of back and forth and some heavy competition, the Rafale came out on top. India signed a deal for 36 jets, worth nearly 7.9 billion euros. The agreement included major technology transfers, giving a boost to India's own defense industry. With its cutting-edge sensors, weapons, and ability to switch from dogfighting to deep strikes to maritime patrol, the Rafale fits right into India's broad security playbook, deepening a strategic defense relationship between India and France. Meanwhile, in 2021, the United Arab Emirates made the biggest Rafale purchase yet, a massive $16 billion deal for 80 jets. This deal showed the UAE's serious push to upgrade its air force with a versatile fighter, ready for the region's challenges. At the same time, it highlighted how France was deepening its military and diplomatic presence in the Gulf. The Rafale has also won over buyers in Qatar, Egypt, Greece, Croatia, and Indonesia, making it France's best-selling fighter jet. These deals show just how reliable, adaptable, and advanced the Rafale really is. Every contract builds new partnerships, sets up training programs, and involves local industries. In this way, the Rafale's reach goes far beyond just flying in the skies. The jet keeps getting upgraded, improving its AI, cyber defenses, and ability to work seamlessly in networked warfare. According to the manufacturer's official website, quote, "Thanks to its versatility, its adaptability, and its ability to meet all air mission requirements, the Rafale is the poster child transformational fighter, which provides a way forward to air forces confronted to the requirement of doing more with less in an ever-changing strategic and economic environment." The Dassault Rafale is expected to stay front and center in the French military well into the 2040s.